Let's face it, being a young entrepreneur is so hard. I mean, how do I connect with people? What do I wear? How do I build up enough financial security? How do I take care of myself and protect my physical and mental wellness in the midst of so much chaos and unknown and work and stress? Welcome to Normalize the Conversation. I'm your host, Francesca Reicherter, and today I'm joined by the content creator, storyteller, and passionate advocator, Sara Mora. Join us as Sara shares her journey as a young entrepreneur and the tools that have helped her become such a powerful changemaker. Sara, I am so excited for our conversation today. But before we begin, I just really want to check in. How are you really?
I'm doing good. I just had breakfast. I had a tortilla that my dad made, and I had some coffee. And I'm very thankful to say I'm doing good because, as we all know, in the day and age of social media and news and trends, even those that don't follow trends get influenced in some way or another. But in the day and age that we're in, it's easy to get super influenced by everything we see online and to feel like maybe there's no hope. And so I feel like whenever you feel that there is a hopeful day and you feel like you're having a great day, that's a big blessing. Because there are very rough days, right? Where you look around and you're like, my God, like there's so much work to do. And there's little people that care, but in reality, there is a lot of people that care. And I'm doing good today.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. It's so important to celebrate those good days, like you said, those days when you feel a little hopeful, because it is so easy to let everything get you down. I mean, I know I was scrolling on social media the other day and I saw just so many articles of people who were struggling from their mental health, people whose lives were lost to suicide. And it just got me for a good hour where I was like, I have no energy. I feel like I'm failing, like I'm not doing good enough, like not enough's happening, not enough people are involved. And it's so easy to just go down that rabbit hole all the time. So when you have a good day, absolutely celebrating it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's easy to compare ourselves. I literally have a little quote on the back of my phone that's like, don't look at the best that others can do, look at the best that you can do. Because in all walks of life, all careers, it could be easy to look around and be like, oh, like if you're in college, like this student's doing so much better, like they're leading every single thing. But like we can never really truly understand other people's stories. Absolutely, there's like really big things to address, like inequalities all across the board, but we deserve to wake up every day and like take care of ourselves, like have some breakfast, even if you don't like breakfast, having a small breakfast and just being able to bring yourself back into who you are. And honestly, one thing that's helping me today and these days is like making a list of like 3 things, and they're all not the same level of intensity. Like one is super easy, like send 1 email. The other is like, I literally have it around here. Bye, puppy. The other is a little bit more complicated, and the last one's like the biggest one. And that helps me a lot because sometimes I create a to-do list for myself and an agenda for the week that I'm like, I don't even know where to start, because you literally timed it out per day, but you're human, right? So one day you might not really wake up with the energy to like do a particular assignment. And given we have to do certain things at certain times, but I think on a logistical level for those peeps who work from home, that is helping me. It's still a challenge. Like you still got to make sure you get to it, but I noticed the help because then you see the really easy one and you could do it backwards. Like you could do the easy one, the little harder, and then the hardest one, you know?
Yeah, and you're still crossing stuff off. That's something that I've been working on too, because I'm one of those people who makes those giant to-do lists that's like 2 pages long. You know, I'm like, I'm going to do all of this today or tomorrow. And then I snooze my alarm like for an hour in the morning. And I'm like, well, try again tomorrow. I'm done. It's
Exactly.
so easy to make that big list and see all the things you have to do. But when you separate it out, like you said, in just 3 things, so much less overwhelming. I love that. How'd you come up with that?
Honestly, from my own, so I love like, I literally have like notepads, right? I have like the bigger version. I have a calendar version, right? And then I have like the mega notepad, like, and I've just been trying to, so I use the mega notepad for big brainstorming, right? Like if you're planning an event, if you're working on a mega project. Um, so like for me, it's about like sometimes your mind just gets like cluttered, like there's too much information. It's too easy, especially in the creative world, to be like, honestly, in any world. Like I remember being a college student and being like, oh my God, I feel like I need a room with all whiteboards to just like jot down, this is this class, that's that class. And then I need like a coffee machine right there, right? Like, but that it depends on how you work, right? And I think I just came up with that from, you know what? I feel like I might have read that somewhere. First of all, I just want to say that. But then also when I was working, I'm like, I accidentally wrote 3 things down for like one day. And yesterday that helped me so much because I did it yesterday. The last one, the biggest one, is still difficult to finish, but at least I started, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but honorable mention to the 3 little lists of like, one is very easy, like send an email. It was literally, well, it was update website with like certain clients, email a client, and then a script for a big class I'm working on. So the class was the one I didn't finish. But the update website email I finished, and I'm like, that's a good strategy. Every single day, one really easy task, another one that's a little harder, and then the hardest.
That's amazing. Because even though,
Right.
like you said, you didn't finish the script, you still started it. And that's good. You can see all the things that you did, how much further you moved toward it, instead of if you had a list of 50 things to do and you
And you
never
don't
even
even
got close to it.
got do one sometimes. Like I don't know about you, but yeah, never even got close to it.
Yeah. And it's so overwhelming. And then going back to, like we said in the beginning, comparing our lives to everyone and looking at people who seem like maybe they did 2,000 things on their to-do list today and feeling like I can't keep up and feeling like I have to then sacrifice myself, my physical health, my mental health, my social life, all of it in order to do more because I'm comparing myself.
And honestly, like now that we're talking about this, like honestly, every single level of you, like I feel like every year I have a different goal. We have a different goal. Like one year, like this year, I'm super focused on my gym life, right? Like my health life, right? Like, and I, I'm going to this topic because I'm like, for so long, I'm like, how can I be an entrepreneur? Like, how can I work in media? How can I work in a creative world? How can I work in teaching others in education, in technology, in social media, when I have an entire world of fitness that I need to learn for my own health? Because I'm 26 and I want to be like a healthy weight, a healthy health, right? And you know what I noticed is sometimes like I make things a bigger task for myself, right? And then so I realized like, wait, what if I find like 2 recipes I really like and work with those recipes throughout the week so that I'm not like feeling like, oh my God, I have to like learn in, and mind you, like I actually bought like books. Like I'm over here
Love
trying to
it.
like read up on like, sensitive bodies, like people who I feel like I have a really sensitive gut, right? So like as I'm reading up and stuff, I'm also remembering like as long as I stay true to like basic things like drinking water, like replace sugar replacements that help me because I know I'm sensitive to sugar. Like another person, I'm not going to say a normal person, another person might have white sugar 3 times a day. I have it, and over the course of a period of time, that makes me gain weight. I can have brown sugar, cane sugar, right? But I'm not gonna have a conversation like a nutritionist, but I am gonna say this because I think like I realized it wasn't that I needed to stop. I was like, I'm not gonna be able to do my job if I have to educate myself like this because it takes up, because I'm such an all or nothing sometimes person that I'm like, it's either I'm the educator in chief of like nutrition because I need that for myself, or I'm everything else I am, activist, storyteller, consultant, strategist, all these hats. And I realized again, I simplify that, like have some vitamins to take, my water bottle, a special water bottle for that, a special cup for like protein smoothies for after the gym, a thing of protein, just 1 scoop with your favorite fruits, healthy milk, like getting replacement pasta. I have red lentil pasta. I have the air fryer, so I try to do like portions. Like, so I'm sharing this because I'm like, OMG, if you're in your 20s, like, you know how hard it is to feel like you're trying. There's literally memes about it. That's like me trying to catch up with my social life, my personal life, my school life, right? But all in all, we don't want to be that forever. Like, we laugh together, but we don't really want to be that forever. I don't think I'm the only one. I will laugh when I'm exhausted in my bed looking at those memes. But when I wake up and I go to my office that I built in my parents' house, I'm not really laughing. Like, I'm actually filled with anxiety and thinking, holy crap, like, I do not want to be the person that's going to be like that forever. Like, yes, we all have bad days and good days, but there are ways to there are actually some things that are more important than others, number one. And for me, I'd rather have my health in order. If I have to pick and choose, I'd rather have my health in order than this, right? So I learned that too. Like, sometimes it's going to require like you choosing a bit, leaning more into the things that actually really like mean so much to you. And yeah.
I feel like I've never resonated with someone so much, because this was something I went through maybe about a year or two ago with my own health, that I noticed foods I was eating, I was feeling so sick. I would get so bloated that I could not fit into any of my clothes for like 3 or 4 days at a time. I had no energy. I was gaining weight, didn't know what was happening. And I was actually losing big chunks of my hair, which freaked me out because that's like my only good feature, in my opinion.
Girl, stop it. You are beautiful.
Thank you, thank you.
Real.
But like, it was a full like anxious breakdown. Like, something that meant so much to me, like my hair, was suddenly like falling out. I was gaining weight. I wasn't fitting in my clothes. It like felt like I had to wear sweatpants every day and was just losing myself in the midst of it and not feeling good. And I went and I went to a comprehensive like women's center. And this is the best decision I ever made, because I found a doctor who took a more holistic approach. And whereas other doctors would just say, oh, it's like stress or anxiety, like you're fine, or take a muscle relaxer and everything will like heal itself. No, it didn't work for me. Maybe for other people that might be a great treatment protocol. Did not work for me. Tried it for like months. Got an MRT panel, learned what foods didn't interact well with my body, found out that things I was eating every day that I thought were healthy and were good for me were not good for me, but may have been great for someone else. Changed my diet, stopped getting so bloated to the point where I couldn't stand or was cramping over, couldn't fit in my clothes. I went back to like my body's normal weight that it was before and just felt a lot stronger. And in the beginning, when I was doing that, I thought I needed to know everything all at once and make a massive change like that day, and start reading all these books, watching all these like YouTube videos, listening to all these podcasts, like trying to get as much information as possible right that second and fix it all in a day. And like realistically, it took maybe a couple months of trying and then stopping because it was too overwhelming to realize I needed to do it step by step and start removing stuff slowly that made sense. Looking at my budget. Can I afford to change from this milk to this milk? Can I afford to change the meats that I'm eating or start cutting out meat and adding more vegetables? What can I afford to do financially, physically, mentally, emotional? Where do I have time? And until I got to that point where I realized it didn't have to all be done at once, it was a lot.
Exactly. Like, it just takes up, and that's why I feel like so many people, like, for me, it was like I was going from my first job, right, where I was getting like paid minimum wage, speaking about money, which is so important, right? Because I think sometimes we get scared because we're like, what does money conversations look like? Do I have to tell people my salary? Like, it's not, you don't have to say anything. First of all, you could just digress and not say anything ever. But like, I think for me, it's like, no, realistically, I started at minimum wage, finishing my associate's degree in college, thinking like, with an associate's, what am I expecting to get paid? Not knowing that in the real world, people get paid all the time without a bachelor's. Not to encourage people to not finish school, but to say what happened to me, right? And as I began to get more experience, which took like a while, right? But definitely not so much compared to others, of being like, you can't pay a lot when you have minimum wage, depending on how you budget. I don't know about everybody else, but I was really, really barely getting through. And I didn't have a new car, right? Like, I got my first car off of credit 2 years ago. So definitely when I started to even think in 2020, I was like, oh my God, I want to get a trainer, right? Somebody affordable. And I researched and I found one. And then when I started working with her, you're going from like years of doing things a certain way. Like I worked out in college. Like when I started college, I worked out. But then there was like a big gap where I just wasn't. Like it was like 3 years. That's not that big, but it's big for us, right? We're in our 20s. So 1 year
That's
is
a
big
long
for
time
us,
of our life. Yeah.
right? So then I like when I started to work with her, I was like, oh my God, I literally have like the stamina of somebody that like just somebody far more off in my age, like not even in their 20s, like way far off. Like I gained so much weight, like, and not only the weight, I was freaking out reflecting on how I was eating. And I'm like, where do I even start? Like I started drinking so many green juices, like just like started doing everything, but actually like the birdie wants to be the main character so badly.
So cute.
The point is I tried really hard, and like as we're saying, like it became more overwhelming the more I started to think about it, because I'm like, this is expensive, that's expensive. Like my first year finally getting acknowledged by certain companies as a storyteller, like, and given it was a blessing because it was in a short time, because things were trending with young activists. And like now to 2023 where I see my routine, I'm like, thank God, like I'm not over shopping, I'm not getting the most expensive anything. I did change some things, but you don't really, I realize now I don't really eat as much as I was preparing for, right? Like sometimes when you're in this prep thing, you want to prep like the tiniest snacks, like a sack of snacks, and you're like, you're fine. Like I'll end up like my snack is sometimes, which sounds weird, but like yesterday I was like, kind of still hungry. I made like a celery water with like cucumber, but because I like it, right? And then I ended up getting a snack with my boyfriend. But like my point is sometimes like in your desire to make all these changes, it can be easy to like overestimate how much change you're going to need. And I think change is like the smallest things that we don't even notice. Like change is like you even wanting for certain things to change, because health is wealth, right? Like health is complicated, but it's possible. And so I don't know, I don't want to ramble, so I'm gonna stop talking.
Absolutely though. And I was in class last night and the teacher gave us this like vignette. So it's a psychology class of behavior modification. And she wanted us to come up with a treatment plan. And she shared hers, which is basically going straight into the behavior modification.
Mhm.
And I looked at it and thought, well, what if we started with the goal setting and intention so that we know why we want to do this and we have something motivating us through, instead of all of a sudden saying we're going to just change behavior. What's motivating us? What do we actually want our life to look like? Why do we want change? Do we want to change? And I think that that's something that's so important to realize. Whatever behavior it is, whatever change we want in our lives, if we don't acknowledge why we want it, and if we don't have any intention or goal behind it, it's so hard to just say we're going to change and then to assume we have to change it all at once. But if you break it down into goals, if you break it down into this is what I ultimately want it to look like, it doesn't need to look like this tomorrow. It makes it so much easier to start working toward those changes. But I really want to go back to a financial piece for a second, because I don't think this is talked enough in our generation, because we see so many people, so many influencers on social media who are making millions of dollars at our age. And the reality is most of us aren't. A very, very few, very small percent of people our age are bringing in 7, 8 figures. It's not the norm, but I think social media has made it seem like people are able to afford a lot more at our age. And I know for me, that's something that I struggled with a lot, was realizing that it's okay not to have it all yet, and to also start learning that I could ask for my worth. And when I started doing events, speaking engagements, I could actually ask for what I'm worth and not just allow other people to set a value on it as well. So there's just not, to me, there's not enough conversation on how you don't have to be making millions of dollars overnight, but you also don't have to settle for making $10 to do something that you are more than qualified to do and should be valued a lot more.
I mean, I think also because we like naturally as young people, like as we're going into our adulthood, like I don't think I'm that young anymore. Like I'm 26, but I still feel young, relatively young, right? Because I'm not like, anyway, So I think we don't realize that like when we're transitioning into like adulthood, we're like also not aware necessarily, unless your family works in places like, of the jobs that exist, right? Of how people get to these jobs, of how like certain things work, because what we're taught is like, go to school, then you get your degree, then you get the job you always wanted, right? That's like always what we're taught. But we don't know that like people get jobs without degrees, people get there way before their degrees, people get there with or without degrees, you know? So I think that it could be easy financially to be like, to look around and be like, oh my God, how the hell do people get there? But in reality, to me, it's like, one thing that I wish was taught to us, speaking of finances, because this is so relevant, is networking, because I learned about it, like, thankfully, I was really, really, really like, I'm like, oh my God, I want to learn about this, that, and that. Definitely politics, definitely community stuff, and a bunch of other things. So I would go to networking events when I was young, like 15. You know, that was like 9 years ago. No, more. 11 years ago, like that was my first time going to a networking event. And like, I think if I would have known that earlier, it would have been too early because I would have been 13, right? Or like 12. But like, if people know that at that age, then they can start to imagine you networking at 15. But like, that's what I did, right? And like, I would have to ask for rides from the ladies that I met. I'd be like, hi, do you mind giving me a ride to the next networking event? And they would be like, you know what I mean? But like, also, I did ask, and like, thinking of that, I'm like, it would have been useful for other people too. And I tried to invite people, obviously, but networking is friendshipping, like is making new friends, is like trying to get to know other people's worlds, like seeing where you fit with others. And like, even when you feel like you don't necessarily add value to others, you do, right? Like you're a different world. And like, if you and a certain person you meet just don't click, then that's just that, right? There's so many people to meet. But I think networking is something that changed my life. And again, I saw it as building friends, because I'm like, if you don't click, you're just not gonna click, right? But I think it has to do with finances, because people who are able to take a moment to step outside of the world are more probable to run into better opportunities than those that aren't. And some are born into it, right? And like don't have to network. Their family just knows of people because they've been networking before them. But I think that's relevant, because I mean, you shouldn't. I think also something that I saw in networking events is like, sometimes people are desperate to network in networking events, so it could become like difficult for you. If you go to a networking event and you're like, I know I need to meet a client here, it could take away from you actually seeing if you even like the event. Because what if you didn't like the event? It doesn't matter if you're going to be, I mean, it does matter, but like, I guess what I'm saying is trying to see how to balance getting what you need from a networking event, which is essentially connection, but also trying your best to experience the experience so as to take that pressure off from yourself. That helps me a lot, right? So like if I'm going to a networking event, I try to acknowledge the agenda and be like, okay, what is this event? And try to take it lightheartedly. I'm gonna meet some people, but I'm not gonna it depends on the day, right? But and then also social media is another networking tool. I think I've landed big clients through social media and like without even knowing it. So scrambling through things that you like, following people, writing hi, like greeting people online, like you never know what conversation you're gonna start.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish that someone talking about networking and the value of it way earlier is something that I didn't learn about until like 2 years ago, how important it is. I don't know why. Like, first of all, I want to say that I was very unrealistic as a kid and thought I was gonna like turn 18 and be a billionaire for some reason.
Okay.
Don't know why. I just thought like life works out. Like you become an adult and suddenly like life works out. No, it doesn't. Going to college and taking student loans was definitely the very opposite of being a billionaire, by the way. So like I had this just idea in my head that like life works out. You just suddenly meet the right people and you get the right job and opportunity and it all happens. That's not what happened. And it wasn't until someone was like, have you tried going to a networking event and actually meeting people? If you don't go out and put yourself out there to meet people, you aren't going to meet people. If you're not posting on social media and doing outreach, if you're not trying to connect with people, whether it's virtually or in person, it's not going to just happen from you sitting in your room all day on the computer. And that changed everything, because when I started going to networking events and meeting people and learning how we could each support each other, maybe there was something I could do for them, maybe there was something they could do for me, maybe it's just a mentor, someone I could call and ask a question to.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So I've just met so many different types of people and got so many more opportunities and been able to move forward in my whole life not being, let me just put money on everything on a credit card, and actually be able to start slowly affording new things and moving forward. And I never would have if I didn't learn the value of connecting to people and actually starting a conversation.
That's exactly. And I think I love what you said, because there's like this is my like chill language, like there's mad things that you can get from one event. It's not just one thing. Like you can go in and like, honestly, there's been times where I go into an event and I'm like, what was the point of me going to this event? Like, crap, I hope I didn't waste my time. Like, I don't want to attend events that just move along. Like, I'm not bored. I do want more work and like things like that, but I don't want to just linger in places, right? Like nobody wants to do that. So I also want to say to what you said, like the tone of what you said made me think, like, if it's not one event, it's another. If one event didn't click too much, the next one will. And like, depending on the tone of the event, like it's okay to introduce yourself. Like you said, this might be your next mentor. Like this might be the next person that you can call up, and that will be like, of course, like, let me talk you through this, whatever it is that you're going through, right? Because they might have more experience than you did in that. So I agree so much, because like it can be easy to think as somebody with little to no work experience, like nobody wants to be bothered. And it's not true. Like people that have experience, many want to teach others, right? Like not necessarily the king and queens of next generation work, but you don't have to be, right? None of us are perfect. So I'm like, I've been guided and mentored by some people that I wouldn't necessarily recommend to somebody else because they're kind of rough, right? In personality, but like, you'd be surprised how many people, even if they don't do that full time, help a little bit just because they're like, wow, like this person really wants to understand X, Y, and Z. And so questions go a long way, and like getting focused on that. Like if you're going to the next networking event and you know, dang, I really want to learn from this person, this one thing, try your best to set up some coffee time. Coffee time really helps me more than networking events, because I mean, that's where it starts. It's not that it helps me more. It's just, I can't do everything in a networking event. I got invited to speak in DC this past week, and I met a lot of people. So I was like, okay, yeah, like I'm like, okay, how am I going to do it? So I bought business cards, but that's not enough, right? Like I'll give you a business card. What is the probability of you like ever connecting with me? So instead I was like taking people's numbers down, texting them, getting their LinkedIn, messaging them, getting their Instagram, messaging them. Some were like, we want to book you to speak. Some were like, I'd love to stay connected and talk. And like their work was relevant with mine. So 2 weeks, I mean, an event, 2 weeks before this past event, or a week before this past event, I got a call to speak at a university. Same thing. I brought business cards, but like, more than that, I started texting people and immediately trying to connect with them. And like, it helped, because then I got to know, sometimes you're like swifting through the mess and you're like, oh, this person, I should have connected with them. Sometimes you're going to find out in coffee time that like you guys are a lot more similar, and like you may not be able to help each other in anything at the moment, but like at least you're able to understand and sort through who is who, and like what's a friendship, what is a new potential colleague, like, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's important to know it's a little bit of everything, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And you never know the value. I love what you said about how it's so easy to feel like, oh, I'm so young, I'm so inexperienced, no one's going to want to talk to me. That was the attitude I went into my first few networking events. And I will tell you, there are some people who will look at me, look at my age, and just like do anything to avoid having to get stuck talking to me because they assume it's a kid. That absolutely happens sometimes. Not most of the time, though. The majority of people wanted to know why I was there. Most conversations did start with, how old are you? Absolutely. Because I looked like a child in comparison to people who were 30 years into their corporate lives.
Right.
But I wasn't less than someone because I was younger and I don't have experience in the corporate world.
Oh my gosh.
But that was the attitude, right? That was the mindset I went in with, like, no one's going to want to talk to me. So then I kind of like hid and shied away for a little bit until someone talked to me, and I realized like, oh, people just literally want to connect. And I found people who were just willing to meet with me and go over small things. Someone actually was like, do you want to meet and just go over your marketing materials? And I'll give you my opinion as a buyer if this is something that would spark my attention.
Right.
Like, it was just small things like that. I had someone recently who spent 6 hours with me at a coffee shop creating a budget, teaching me how to create like a personal budget, because no one had taught me that before. Like, you never know. And I assume because I might not have 30 years of experience that they weren't going to want to talk to me. There were some people I could help, and there were so many people who could offer me small skill sets that they've learned along the way that they know would make a massive change and help for me as well.
And I think that's what you said about being in a room where everybody was like, what's your age? It's funny, but it's also so real, because for me, I remember being like, I had to be 19. It had to be when I was like 19. I was in DC at like a conference for diplomats and scientists. And I'm like 2 years into my associate's degree. Like, I'm not even affiliated to a 4-year institution. I'm undocumented, right? Like, to law, DACA, many people just would look at me and be like, she's undocumented, right? Like, they wouldn't say she's a full living human who's like a college student, passionate about this, you know? And I'm smiling now, but realistically, that's horrible and horrifying. And I was in these rooms like, what the, like, when did I say yes to come here? Because now I'm scared. And that was what I would do. I would say yes to the things I was scared of, and then show up scared, because I'm like, I'd rather show up scared than say no, right? Like, some of these people I'm meeting the day of tomorrow could be the next mentor I have, the next career, the next, you never know how the turns that life takes. And I knew I wanted to be a diplomat of my country, but I was 19 with an associate's, like, you know, in my process for my associate's degree. And I can like vibe so much with you about like I can feel so much what you said, because I'm like, I was there like, what the hell? They're gonna be like, what's your doctorate in, love? Like, why are you here? Like, oh, she's cute. Is she your assistant? Like, who is she? You know? And it wasn't that big. There was one or two really like just like messed up people that were like making me feel so little that it's not even funny. But that shrugs off in comparison to the supportive people that were like, she's really young. She's not in our university, but she has a vision and she has a dream, and like, this is what she's working on. And I'm like, yes. Like, right, I'm going to make new friends. Like, I met the consulate and all these, and I would have missed out if I thought about what would people say. Or I didn't think about that. I thought, how can I best show up? Right. And I was 19, it's, you know, like years later, but like, I feel like that's my goal, to show up how I best can show up for myself. Now it's fashion. Like, now it's like, okay, I'm scared to go to this event, so I'm going to dress up in the clothes that makes me feel best me, because then I'm not thinking about my clothes. Then I'm not thinking, oh, I dress like trying too hard, like trying to be somebody else, which can happen. Not that we're talking about fashion, but I think that's something I learned really a few years in. It was like, the less I tried to adapt with my clothes, the more I would have to learn about the workplace faster. Like, in reality, in real time, in work environments, if you try really hard to be everything but yourself, you're never really going to have the opportunity fully, we could say that now, maybe it's a different time, to experience what it's like to challenge yourself, right? Like, if I showed up in clothes that I felt like to me were more professional, yes, I would be able to adapt faster, but like, also, how would I even, like, I just felt like I needed to be true to myself in that moment. And like, it wasn't like I was showing up in some wild clothes, but like, just clothes meant a lot to me. Cause I'm like, can we wear a red lipstick to Congress? Like, can we wear this to that meeting? Right. And now that I look back to it, it wasn't that audacious, but in my mind it was, right? Like, I was wearing like a little scarf that was different, or a lipstick, and I was like, wow, like, I'm going to be myself. But to me, it meant a lot. Cause I'm like, I see those people there, they don't have nothing. They don't have any makeup. Like, they don't have any colors on them. Like, I'm going to look so dumb. They're going to be like, why is this girl here wearing all those colors? And now I learned like, it's not like that, but I don't know. Just a little bit of everything.
Oh my, I really want to emphasize like what you said about fashion and just dressing in a way that makes you feel comfortable and authentic to who you are and makes you feel confident. In the beginning, I remember being so afraid, trying to figure out what I was going to wear for like different speaking engagements and events. And I'd be texting everybody and be like, what are you wearing? What are you wearing? Do you know what people wore last time or last year? Like panicking.
Literally.
And it wasn't until someone said to me, she was like, I don't know, I'll put it together like the day before. Like I'm just going to wear what I would usually wear. And I was like, wait, like people do that? Like you can just wear something that you would normally wear. You don't have to change everything about who you are with your clothes for an event. Like, and when I showed up,
so it's fine.
Right. And when I showed up in clothes that made me feel comfortable and like confident and me, I felt so much better than when I felt like I was trying to wear clothes. I remember in my internship in undergrad, I had to start dressing in like business professional clothes. And it was like, you can't wear anything that's too like tight or form fitted. So then I was like, okay, that means I have to wear stuff that's loose. And I was like trying to figure it out. And then when I walked in, I felt like I was trying to wear like an adult's clothes as a child. Like that's just how I felt in my like mindset. I was like, I feel like I'm trying to dress like someone else, like what I think an adult should dress. And the reality of it was like, no, people were dressed in like their normal business clothes. People weren't like, oh, I need to wear something that's a few sizes too big so it doesn't look too tight, or I have to wear these certain shoes. It doesn't have to be really low heels. If I want to wear 4-inch heels, 6-inch heels, that's fine. I can't walk in 6-inch heels. So, but 4-inch heels, like that's fine. I don't have to wear like a 1/4-inch heel or something small like that. I don't have to wear flats. I personally prefer having a tiny bit of a heel because it makes me feel a little taller. And for some reason that makes me more confident. But it was like learning small things like that. I loved a turtleneck. I love a turtleneck. People are like, I don't know why you wear turtlenecks. That's weird. And I'm like, I love it. Like, that's what makes me feel confident and comfortable. And if you look at like pictures of me speaking at engagements or events or anything, 99% of the time I'm in a turtleneck because it makes me feel confident and comfortable. And I feel like myself, and now I'm ready to talk. And I'm not standing there going, do I fit in with everyone else? I feel so uncomfortable. Can they tell this isn't what I normally wear? Like, am I standing the way that someone who would wear this kind of dress would stand? Like all those like small little things that no one else was paying attention to that I was telling myself in my head were ridiculous. And just learning to wear clothes that made me feel like myself changed everything. And that's not something we talk about either.
Exactly. And I think that's exactly because like at that, if we're not taught networking, we're most likely taught like by our counselors, like depending on how your counselors were in your high school, get your like, what are you studying in? Like, make sure you're getting in on time. Like, this is what you need. Like, these are the scholarships. Definitely not things like more so like networking, unless you have mentorships or like, I mean, mentors or people who are already immersed in those spaces and family and friends. But you're right about that. Like, it makes us feel so consumed to think like, in what way should I show up to this place when like, in reality, what we should be thinking is like, which one of my favorite outfits makes most sense for this event? Like, and if one of your favorite outfits doesn't make sense for a business casual event, obviously changing it up, but like feeling like you turning into adult, which I feel like it's changed now, right? Like, I don't think the time we're in, I would hope not, but I could be wrong. Like, people aren't as like, let me not talk for people. For me, it's always been hard. Like, I'm always like, OMG, I want to adapt as well. And then I'm like, no, like, just dress yourself for the occasion. If it's business casual, like, I try my best to stay true to like my hairstyle. Like, I don't like to do a lot to my hair. I like to keep it simple, like natural, right? If I washed it, that's it. I don't like to like do like, you know, and like, that's helped me a lot. Cause then I feel like myself in the actual location. I don't feel like, you know, when I have worn like 12-inch heels, like, then I'm like, holy crap, like my feet are screaming, I can't even walk. So let me never do this again. Like, clearly I'm trying to be somebody I'm not, and ruining something that could be a learning experience, a fun experience, a friendship experience, to look like somebody that I'm not, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Just learning to lean into authenticity, learning to be yourself, to be willing to connect with people and let them see you as you are. Show up for yourself, love yourself, take care of yourself. All of it is so important, and it's not things that we often talk about, which is why I'm so grateful for this conversation with you today. Sara, you've been absolutely amazing. As we wrap up, is there any advice or information that you would like to share with our audience?
Yeah, I mean, if I can ever be of help, I'm at Miss Sara Mora on social media. My website's also www.misssaraMora.com. If you guys would ever like to book me as a speaker or feel like I can fit in some of the work projects you have coming up. But also, like, I think my takeaway advice is generally pretty like similar, only because I feel like it's been the same for me always. Like, don't be afraid to ask questions. When walking into a situation that scares you, think about how much it took you to get there, and like remember that you deserve to like experience something new. And don't be afraid to dream, which sounds cheesy, like don't be afraid, but I am afraid. Like, by don't be afraid, I just mean like dream even if you're scared, like envision even if you're scared, walk into rooms even if you're scared, like make new friends even if you're scared. And like, it's okay if sometimes you just don't want to make new friends. Like, there's been times where I walk into rooms where I know I could be making like new friends, and just like I'm aware that day I'm not necessarily ready to do that. And if somebody approaches me, that's different, and I'll, still have a conversation. But knowing yourself and knowing like there's an infinite amount of resources, we have a purpose. And even though that sounds so zen, it's the truth. Like, I believe firmly that we are beings of purpose, and that people are a lot more, I believe that people are a lot more good than we know. So don't be afraid to dream and like approach people that you see in a cool world, right? That's how I used to see it. Like, that person's in a really cool world. Like, I want to know about that world. That's how simple I saw it. And then I learned like, no, that's not called a cool world. That's called years of experience in marketing, or that's called like they're a graphic designer for Disney, or that's called, like I learned the names. But it's okay if you don't have the names in the beginning. Like, it's okay to not know everything, because we all learn as we go.
Thank you so much for listening to Normalize the Conversation. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. This podcast is an initiative of Inspiring My Generation, focusing on normalizing the conversation, bringing education and awareness to the forefront, and amplifying global voices to spark change and hope. Inspiring My Generation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization on a mission towards suicide prevention through awareness, conversation, education, and support. Connect with us on Instagram at Inspiring My Generation, and visit our website inspiringmygeneration.org to learn more about our work and how you can make a difference.